Hey, what's up, guys? It's Hayden.
Hey, and I'm Emma. Hello. Yes, welcome back to the channel. We are back on our bullshit reviewing The Mandalorian episode by episode. We've just had the first episode of season 3 drop this week, and we are so happy.
I love this show.
Love this show.
I love this show. Like, it just fills me with joy.
So much joy.
Just so nostalgic. There's just so much cuteness. Just, it's so fun. Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I love Sons of Anarchy and Game of Thrones, but there's only so much depression I can take. This show just makes me feel good. I love it. I'm so glad it's back.
And how can you feel sad feelings when you have such a cute baby to look at in an episode, you know? And obviously we had to have the child join us for this episode.
Of course.
So yeah, look, obviously talking about this episode, there are going to be spoilers for not only this episode, but for previous seasons, possibly.
Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just spoiler alert. But if you're here, you've probably already watched the episode. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about episode 1 of season 3, and it was called The Apostate.
Not to be mistaken with prostate.
I have not heard this word
Man,
before.
no, that's a prostate exam. That's the whole episode.
I had to do a double take of the word. I was like, wait, what is the episode? No, look up the meaning of that word. It makes sense for this episode.
Yep. And this episode carries on after the events of Book of Boba Fett. Now, this is probably my only real gripe with this season of The Mandalorian. Not really that. It's more so what they did with Book of Boba Fett. I think we said it in a Book of Boba Fett review. They treated it like a bridge between season 2 and season 3 of The Mandalorian. And so if you haven't seen Book of Boba Fett, you're going to be really confused with this first episode. Because Grogu is back with Mando. They're back together.
So just quickly, because it's been a while since we watched Boba Fett. Did that reunion happen in Boba Fett? Because I thought that was in the last season. No, it didn't.
End of season 2, Grogu leaves with Luke. And then they literally come back together within 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, right. I completely forgot
the thing is, like, in the... You know how they kind of do previously on The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
They didn't even show the stuff in Book of Boba Fett. It was literally just stuff from season 2, so it's not even like they refresh people's memory from Book of Boba Fett. So if you haven't seen Book of Boba Fett, we've kind of just spoiled it. You've probably, you've probably seen this episode. You're probably like, "What the hell is going on?" Yeah, that's why. That's probably my only gripe. It's just how they've handled the storytelling.
Yeah. Do you know what? And just on that, I feel like I may have even said this in our review of Book of Boba Fett. But I really didn't like how they reintroduced Mando and Grogu. Like, I would have loved something a bit more heartfelt, bit slower in its delivery.
Yep.
But they kind of reunited them in the middle of a really big action sequence, and it just kind of took the heart out of it. I felt. I just would have liked something a bit softer, and you know.
I get that. Yeah.
Anyway, that was just me personally, but.
But look, that aside, I love this episode. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it sets up pretty much where this season is going to go, which is Mando is kind of like trying to redeem himself because he took off his helmet for Grogu. And so he kind of broke the main rule of the Mandalorian organization, religion. And so he now has to go to this magical hot tub on Mandalore, this magical hot spring, to bathe in it. And kind of, redeem himself. That's kind of where this is going.
Kind of seems like a weird thing to do
I think this is going to lead into kind of him kind of taking back Mandalore. Because I know that's been kind of like a story hinted at in the past. I think that's kind of where this is going to lead.
Okay.
So, again, it's hard to tell what's going to happen or whether this is going to be a good storyline until the storyline kind of reveals itself through the season. So look, I have complete faith in them. So I'm just gonna go with it.
Go with the ride.
I'm just gonna go with it. And look, this sets that up. It sets that up. I think it just furthers the bond between Grogu and Mando as well. I don't know, they just seem like, Grogu will be up in his little cockpit area and he'll crawl down. So there's obviously like a little hatch so he can crawl down into Mando's little cockpit. And so he kind of goes in there and he sits on Mando's lap and Mando's showing him how to navigate the galaxy.
Like,
yeah, so Mando is kind of taken over as his teacher.
yeah.
So he's teaching him how to be a little Mandalorian. He's teaching him he's like, to be a Mandalorian, you've got to know how to navigate the galaxy. And he's showing him all the dials. And I thought that was a really cool little character moment.
It was such a cute little...
I've heard people say there isn't much character stuff in this one. I disagree.
Yeah.
I think that was a great little character moment. It furthers their bond. It shows that Mando has now become the teacher, the master to Grogu, and is teaching him, how to be a Mandalorian. So I thought that was a really good moment.
I thought it was a really wholesome moment, like Daddy Mando.
Master and apprentice. Yeah.
Showing him his ways. And oh my God, that was such a squeal moment though when...
I think there was a few of those for you in this episode.
But seriously, when he popped his head up in his little dome in the back of the ship, I was like, ah!
That's what I mean. Like this show is just so wholesome.
Yeah.
It's so wholesome. Like Grogu is just the cutest fucking thing ever. Like I can't deal with it.
Please. No, do you know what? It's interesting because I've seen a few comments about this first episode back to the new season, and people have been kind of disappointed with it. Like they've had mixed feelings. Like I've seen some call it like it's a just average kind of episode. I'm like, I don't know. I just feel happy watching The Mandalorian. At this point, I don't care what they do in the show. I just love watching these
Mando
characters.
could be reading the alphabet to Grogu and it'd be an entertaining episode.
I would watch that. I'd be like, wholesome content. Seriously, I have so much fun with this show and I'm really excited to see where they go. And look, we got some cool new characters already in this first episode.
I like the Pirate Lord.
Yeah.
He was cool.
He was very cool and I don't know, he kind of looked like a creature that should have been under the ocean.
Yeah, it kind of looks like he should have been in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Looked very seaweed-like, didn't he? So he was cool. I loved the little... Oh, what are the little droid fixers? Like the builders, the little droid builders. Totally blanked on their names.
I think they were in Rise of Skywalker, weren't they?
They did look familiar.
I'm pretty sure they were in there. So that was a nice little callback, you know, despite what you feel about the Rise of Skywalker. That was a good little moment. And then Grogu's trying to hug them and man was like, no, they're not pets.
Such a
just
funny
so
moment.
many just fun little moments like that. It's hard just not to enjoy this.
Yeah.
And look, it was a shorter episode. I think this was the shortest episode that we've had in The Mandalorian so far, but it did feel like they crammed a lot in. We got this great action sequence as well. Mando's trying to leave, I think, Navarro, because he visits Navarro, and we get Grief Karga as well, which was really cool to see him. He's kind of taken over that region and is building it up, which is really cool. So he's leaving Navarro and he runs into these pirates and there's this great space battle and Mando just owns the shit out of them. Just fucking destroys them. And then we get to meet this kind of pirate lord and I feel like there's going to be more to that story. I feel like we're going to be seeing this pirate lord again. Yeah,
for sure. And we saw, what was her name? Bo-Katan?
Bo-Katan, yeah. So we figure out where she's at. Pretty much everyone's left her. She doesn't have the Darksaber, so they're like, you don't rule us. So she's just kind of chilling in a throne room, just...
Actually, she looked very Daenerys Targaryen sitting in that room on that throne.
But again, I feel like there's going to be more to that as well. That's what I mean. I feel like this first episode is just setting up all these little things that I think are going to pay off later on in the season. So I'm like you, I don't get all of this stuff where it's it's boring, nothing happened. I think a lot happened. I think you'll see that pay off later in the season. Yeah,
I think there's a lot to be set up here.
And look, first episodes of seasons, they're always going to be set up episodes, right? Yeah. There's always going to be a lot of, explaining the plot and what's going to happen and where they're going to go. And there's always going to be that. So take it with a grain of salt.
We've established Mando's on a quest to redeem himself, I guess. And I'm sure we're going to be in for a lot of trials and tribulations on the way.
Yes. But the big question is, when is Grogu going to get his own little Mandalorian? When is he going to get his own little helmet?
Oh my God.
That's the big question.
No, but if he gets his helmet, then his face is going to be covered, and we need to look at the baby. We need to see his cute little face.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Maybe he could just get some like Mando armor.
Well, he's already got his little chainmail.
I know. Oh my god, so adorable. Yeah. But yes, look, I am keen for more of this season. I cannot wait. And yes, of course, we are going to be talking about every episode as they come out.
As we do. It's the only show we do that for.
Yeah. So yeah, if you are only new to our channel, then please check out our previous reviews of the Mandalorian seasons.
I'll put that in the description.
And follow us along to see our thoughts or hear our thoughts on the coming episodes.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So make sure you get in the comments and let us know what you thought of this episode. And make sure you do all that YouTube stuff as well. Slam that like button if you like what we do. Hit the bell for the notifications to be notified of what we've got coming up next. Subscribe to our channel to become part of the Headspace Films community. Most importantly of all, thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.